The Shaw Neighborhood Improvement Association has hosted the Shaw Art Fair since 1993, and 135 artists and craftspeople from around the country will be involved in this year's event. Joining me now is the event coordinator, Greg Gobberdiel. Welcome, Greg. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Tim.
Now, tell me why this event is called Historic.
Well, actually, it's in the historic Shaw neighborhood, which is actually a designated historic neighborhood in the city of St. Louis.
And you guys are planning this year to be a little bit bigger than last year, right? Or you said it has its up and downs.
It has its ups and downs, but it's going to be quite similar to last year. And we think the weather may be better, so we may have a larger crowd.
How long have you been involved in this event?
I've been involved since 1993, except for a couple of years, since 93, in some way, shape, or form, whether I was helping design the poster or actually being the events coordinator in the position I'm currently in.
What has been the biggest challenge in putting on an event like this?
Obviously, it's outside, so weather is always an issue. The better the weather, the better the crowds typically, and the better experience, of course, for our artists as well. The other thing is obviously funding. We're a small organization. It's kind of cool that we can pull this thing off. We require a lot of volunteers, about 200 people. We're still looking for volunteers actually to close that gap. And if someone wants to volunteer, shawartfair.org is the place to go.
So they're looking for volunteers. So people be sure to contact Greg here and come out and volunteer for that great event. Do you find that a lot of the people who are volunteering are from that area particularly? Or?
Many of them are, but we have people coming from all over the St. Louis region. So it's kind of cool.
What do you really want people to get from this event?
I want them to buy some really good art. And honestly, we have some excellent work coming. The work is from across the United States. I think we have at least 30 states represented this year. And it's a wide range of work in terms of style as well as medium, painting, jewelry. So we have fine craft and fine art, photography, sculpture, glass makers. And there's some mixed media stuff that's kind of harder to find, but often very interesting.
Now, I'm not someone who's that skilled in picking out the best art. Sure. What should I do? Should I look up artwork before I get there? Because nowadays you can just look at some of the artwork on your phone or on your computer.
Yeah, you can certainly go to our website, shawartfair.org, and you can actually see a representation of each artist on at least one piece of their work. The other thing about buying art is it's really an emotional experience. If it's something that touches you, that's the piece to buy. It speaks to you. It's just like a poem or a piece of music.
Is that your background?
Yes, it is actually. Okay. I am actually an artist myself, and I currently have a graphic design company, and I help run an art gallery in the Shaw neighborhood.
Okay, so now back up a little bit and tell me a little bit about how you came to all of this. If that's your background, then how did you get to that?
Well, in terms of the fair itself, in 1993, there were two women who were, I think, president, vice president at the time of the neighborhood association. We had been doing house tours, looking for another way to also raise some more money, and they said, let's have an art fair. And they did a great deal of research, and I was very supportive of that, and I stepped in and said, let me help you with the public relations and designing posters and those kinds of things. So helping market and promote the fair. That second year, they did that as volunteers. The second year then required a new person, because literally DJ got burnt out that year, and I ended up stepping in as the volunteer director. And I said, we've got to hire an events coordinator because there's no way somebody could do this by themselves. So that's what we did, and we sort of set that model after that. Ultimately, they asked me then to do that as well, to be the paid person. So.
Well, really, I was talking about how did you come to have art in your...
In my life?
Yeah,
oh, okay, all
right. In other words,
was
that something that your parents particularly sort of
From an early age, I drew. And I was always fascinated more with the pictures in books than the books themselves, although I was fine student-wise. But anyway, so there was no disencouragement. That's probably the key here. And as I went through school, I went to school in St. Charles, and they had an amazing art department in their high school. I mean, literally the last semester, I ended up painting for 3 hours a day in a 6-hour day of school. Ultimately went on to college and got a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in printmaking.
Well, so, fantastic. Yeah. Hold tight. Up next, details about some of the artists and events at the Shaw Art Fair, some dates and times as well. Back in a minute.